Hello everyone, my name is Massacre Bra, and I have decided to start a new series revolving around Pokemon challenges and solo runs. I've been playing Pokemon for well over 20 years now, and I really enjoy the OG games and really anything that came out on the Game Boy Advance. Feel free to check out the links below for my socials and leave me some feedback when the video is over. I am following similar rules to other Pokemon challenge runners, and the rules are pretty simple. I can only use one Charmander in battle, but other Pokemon will be needed for HMs of course. No items allowed in battle, only outside of battle, and lastly, no glitches. But I will be using the terrible programming of Gen 1 in some of these runs. Definitely a little gray area here, but these challenges are just for fun. To add on one last thing, I will try to complete the challenges without grossly over leveling unless I have to. The goal here is really to come up with a good strategy and try to execute. We are choosing Charmander for this challenge, so let's take a look at Charmander before we get started. Charmander gives us decent attack and special, and remember in Gen 1, special isn't broken up into separate attack and defensive stats, it's just special, so good special is extremely valuable. Charmander gives us really the best base speed of all the starters, which is killer in Gen 1. Critical hits are based off of speed in Gen 1, and attacking first in most battles is definitely useful. Charmander does fall short a little in defense and really short in HP. For Charmander's moveset, he does learn some decent moves by level up. Charmander also learns a ton of moves via TM that offer decent coverage. I won't spoil the run for you just yet, but the type coverage and moves Charmander can learn made him a really great candidate for a solo run. Now that we know what we're dealing with, let's see if we can beat Pokemon Red with only a Charmander. Before we even leave Pallet Town, let's think ahead a little bit. Brock's going to challenge us with a Geodude and an Onix, both of which are rock and ground type. Luckily, they only know normal moves. I decide to immediately start training and fight all the trainers in Viridian Forest, and the goal here is to learn Ember and hopefully outspeed Onix. Since there's no surprises in Viridian Forest, let's skip right to Brock. At level 14 we beat Geodude without taking damage due to his love of Defense Girl. Let's see if we outspeed the Onix, and it looks like we've got a speed tie. I started by using Growl and probably could have stopped after 3, but I was waiting for Onix to use Bide. For those of you who may not know, Bide absorbs damage for either 2 or 3 turns and deals it back to you double. However, if we don't deal any damage, then Bide won't do any damage to Charmander. As soon as he finishes with his Bide, we start spamming Ember. The only real issue we could have at this point is if Onix goes first and uses Bide. At that point we would hit him with 1 Ember and he would deal it back double, but with our HP we should survive. We do take a pretty nasty crit tackle and we respond with a crit Ember, but all in all not too bad. If for some reason you have issues with Brock, making sure you outright outspeed him will give you a pretty consistent win barring some awful luck. And after defeating Brock, we're gonna go buy some potions and status removal items just in case. So as we make our way to and eventually through Mount Moon, our main focus is gonna be leveling up. I decided to grab the TM for Mega Punch. And although Mega Punch is fairly inaccurate at just 85 accuracy, it packs a punch with 80 power. We are going to need this type of pop to be able to defeat Misty in Rival 2. None of the battles in Mount Moon are particularly difficult and provide decent experience, and we leave Mount Moon at level 23. Now we most likely won't have a chance against Misty just yet, so we're gonna have to take on Rival 2. Rival 2 starts off with a level 18 Pidgeotto. We want to make sure we outspeed here. Since we are using Mega Punch, which is a low accuracy move already, Sand Attack can be really brutal. Pidgeotto is going to be a 2-shot here, so we do need some accuracy luck. Our first Mega Punch connects, we get hit with a Sand Attack but still manage to land our second Mega Punch. Next is Abra. Abra only knows Teleport and can't attack, so we are going to use Scratch to take it out. Our rival sends out Rattata next, which is relatively harmless. Our biggest concern here is a critical hit quick attack, but we got a 1-shot Mega Punch instead. And lastly is Squirtle. As long as you have enough HP, Squirtle shouldn't pose much of a threat. We missed 2 consecutive Mega Punches due to being sand attacked and take a water gun for about 1/3 damage, but luckily Squirtle attacks randomly at this stage, so we land our last 2 Mega Punches and our rival goes down pretty easy. Now we are off to Nugget Bridge. The 6 trainers here won't put up much of a fight whatsoever, and we're technically pretty overleveled for this area. Once we're done with them, we're gonna head over to the patch of grass directly to the west and catch ourselves an Oddish so we can teach a cut later on. We rescue Bill from his really weird science experiment, and now we have a decision to make. We can either fight Misty now or go to the SS Anne for more levels first. I decided to pick up the TM for Dig and give Misty a shot at level 28. She starts off with Staryu, which survives 1 Mega Punch and hits me with a decent water gun. We finish it off next attack, but I'm definitely concerned with how much damage a bubble beam is going to do. We learn pretty quickly that it's enough to take us out from about 2/3 HP. I heal up and try again, and this time, we survive Staryu without taking any damage, and we level up to 29. Now time for Starmie again. Starmie still outspeeds us and nails us right away with a bubble beam, taking us all the way down to 15 health. We respond with a Mega Punch that does just about half, and then we get finished off with a water gun. I don't think we can make this battle consistent until we outspeed Starmie, so I'm going to make my way to the SS Anne instead. Nothing too exciting happens en route to Vermilion. We do take on most extra trainer battles to help us level up. We're going to start seeing some evolved Pokemon soon, so any levels we can get are going to be necessary. We learn Slash via level up, which is an awesome move, for now anyway, because Gen 1 is, well, Gen 1. Slash has pretty much a 100% chance to critical hit, and we're also going to get the TM for Body Slam and replace Mega Punch, since Body Slam is just a stronger, more accurate version of Mega Punch and has a 30% chance to inflict paralysis. As we head to Rival 3, I decide to take on a few optional battles in the SS Anne. We are pretty over leveled, so Rival 3 really shouldn't be a problem. The strategy here is to just use Slash. I used a Body Slam on Pidgeotto, and really, as long as we don't get Sand Attack, this battle really shouldn't cause any trouble. Wartortle takes 2 slashes and really can't do much to hurt you before you take him out. This was a first try victory for me, so we can grab the HM for Cut and head back to Cerulean. And in case you're wondering, we do have to beat Misty before we can use Cut outside of battle to access Lieutenant Surge. Since we're clearly over leveled, we should fare much better this time, and we definitely did. 3 body slams, no damage, and yeah, that was Misty. So now back to Vermilion for Lieutenant Surge. I don't foresee any issues here except for the super great trash can puzzle. Funny how as a kid I remember struggling with it, but I never actually knew that it was broken. I guess you could say that for a lot of different things in the game now that I think about it. Anyway, Lieutenant Surge is really easy. We outspeed, we use Dig, and that's the fight. Dig is absolutely busted in Gen 1. It's 100 base power and 100 accuracy, which is literally the same as Earthquake, and you get it after the second gym. Anyway, now that we have access to Rock Tunnel, there's not much to say about the trainers leading up to it. Lots of weak bug Pokemon and a couple rock Pokemon you can just use Dig on. Charmander's move pool and type coverage is really good right now for the Pokemon we're facing. Rock Tunnel is pretty simple, barring one hiker that has 2 Geodude and a Graveler. You can get Flash if you want, but I usually choose to go through it blind. Once you learn the path, it's pretty simple. As we approach the hiker here, you're gonna want to save. The issue with his Pokemon is they love to use self-destruct. You should be able to absorb at least one self-destruct if you get some bad luck. Not sure what I was doing here, I think I went into autopilot a little too hard, just use Dig and you should be fine. I lost my footage for Rival 4, but he's notoriously a joke. He's really underleveled for this section of the game. I'm going to fast forward to Celadon, where we're going to take on Erica pretty much immediately since we have the type advantage there. I'm also going to beat a few of the trainers in her gym for some easy experience. We don't really need the levels right now, but come Elite 4 time, we will need all the experience we can get. Erica leads off with Victory Bell. Now we have Flamethrower, but you can see a problem start to appear. We couldn't even one-shot her Victory Bell, even though we outlevel it by 12 levels. Tangela is no issue, but we have the same problem with Vileplume. As we start to fight evolved Pokemon, and especially as our level advantage dissipates, we're gonna have some problems. Flamethrower is the strongest attack we have, and even at 2 times damage and a 12 level advantage, it wasn't enough to one-hit KO. Of course we won the battle, but this is kind of a sign for things to come. We are gonna handle the Rocket Game Corner real quick, as well as Giovanni's first fight. We'll cover Giovanni 2 a little more in depth, since there's not a whole lot to say here, as every battle is extremely easy, including Giovanni. But as I roll through the footage here, I want to touch on something. These runs are supposed to be glitchless, and I know I've heard J-Rose talk about this at length, and we have the same point of view here. I think using the Pokédoll to skip past the Marowak fight is a glitch or exploit, whatever you want to call it. Skipping large portions of the game just doesn't seem into the spirit of the runs. For those of you that do it, that's completely okay, but for challenge runs like this, and especially solo runs, I want to play the entire game. I just wanted to tell you why you probably won't see it in this run or any of my future runs. After Rocket Game Corner, we did some shopping and made our way back to Lavender Town. Now, I did this run quite some time ago and completely didn't realize that Dig hits Ghost Pokemon, so if you attempt this run, use Dig. I didn't, and it was still pretty trivial, but using Dig would make this even easier. There really isn't much to go over here. The Ghost Trainers, Marowak, and the Rocket Grunts don't require much thought. Now we have a choice to either head to Fuchsia City for Koga or to Silph Co for the 5th rival battle in Giovani 2. I decided to go to Silph Co for 2 reasons. 1, I kind of wanted a challenge after blasting through the game for a little bit, and 2, I really want the TM for Swords Dance. We need to talk about Swords Dance for you to really get a grasp of what's going to happen in this run, and probably many of my future runs. So in this game, developers give you an intentional 12.5% boost to a certain stat when you defeat some gym leaders. This is called a badge boost. For example, when you beat Brock, you get a 12.5% boost to attack for some reason. Probably should be defense, that's neither here nor there. Now in Gen 1, however, whenever you get any sort of stat change, this 12.5% stacks. So when I use a move like Swords Dance, I get the intended boost to attack and a 12.5% boost to all other stats. This also works if an opponent lowers one of my stats. Now this does go away if you level up or when the battle's over, obviously, so from here on out, leveling up mid-battle is something to avoid if we're setting up Swords Dance. There's surprisingly few mandatory trainers in Silph Co despite its size, so let's take a look at my first battle with Rival 5 before I get Swords Dance. We were lucky enough to not get sand attacked by Pidgeotto. It was a 2-hit KO and he only hit us with Quick Attack. Growlithe and Execute were easy one-shots, and then we get to Alakazam, and Alakazam is no joke. We really need to outspeed it, and we don't. Alakazam hits us with 2 Psybeams and it's over. Alakazam's special and speed are going to be a real problem for us. Now I'm going to go get Swords Dance and let's see the difference it makes in this battle. We set up against Pidgeotto and use Body Slam to take advantage of our boosted attack. Pidgeotto is a 1-hit KO, Growlithe is as well, and then we level up. Remember, this resets our stats. I try to set up again against Execute and it puts me to sleep and paralyzes me. It's pretty crucial to get past Execute quickly for literally that reason. Sleep is pretty much an automatic reset in Gen 1. In order to avoid leveling up mid-battle, we can either use a rare candy or fight some trainers until we level up. You'll stumble upon quite a few rare candies that are on your way throughout this run, so I opt to use one of those. Now that we can make it the whole battle without leveling up, let's see how it goes. We set up 2 Swords Dance against Pidgeot, and you can see the badge boost at work here. We get a critical hit Body Slam, so it ignores all boosts. Growlithe and Execute are no problem at all, and now do we outspeed Alakazam? We don't. Luckily we get Recover and knock it out. Will we one-hit Blastoise? No, we don't. But we get a lucky bubble to finish it off. This was actually just my test run to see if 2 Swords Dance was going to be enough. Technically it was, but we got pretty lucky. Definitely use that 3rd Swords Dance to get a consistent victory here. Nonetheless, a win is a win and we're moving on to Giovanni 2. Before Giovanni though, we're going to adopt this Lapras here so we can teach it Surf and Strength a little bit later, and time to take down an adult mob boss as a 10-year-old. Giovanni leads off with a level 37 Nidorino, and a simple dig should be enough to one-shot it, even with his guard spec. Next up is Kangaskhan. I decide to use Flamethrower here to take advantage of its low special, and we nearly one-shot it. A Tail Whip is going to lower our defense a little, but nothing really to worry about. His Rhyhorn survives a super effective dig and hits us with a decent stomp, but a Body Slam will finish it off. Lastly is Nidoqueen, and we get a critical hit dig to one-shot it. Probably would have been a 2-hit KO without the crit, but we had enough HP left and we get a first try victory here. Before moving on, I decide to head back to Celadon and spend some cash on some carbos and protein to give our Charmander some extra speed and attack. We need to make sure we go first whenever possible, and Body Slam is going to be our bread and butter attack going forward unless we have a type advantage. As we head to Fuchsia, we pick up the TM for Fly, beat up on a Snorlax, and hit the bike path. I'm going to fight some optional battles on the bike path, but none are particularly interesting, and we are getting to the point in that run where we aren't going to have that many more battles to gain XP. We arrive to Fuchsia, and I decide to get the Safari Zone done first. Not really anything to say here, just make sure you grab the Gold Teeth and the HM for Surf. We can dig out of the Safari Zone before the step timer runs out, and then we're going to trade in the Gold Teeth for the Strength HM, and of course grab the rare candy here. And let's talk about Koga for a second. Koga isn't necessarily hard, but he is a troll. We really need to knock out his Pokemon quickly. Luckily we are pretty high leveled right now. He leads off with a level 37 Coughing, which isn't the issue. The real issue here is Muck. Muk loves to use minimize or inflict poison. We take a sludge that really hurts. If you give Muk a chance to use a minimize or two, he's going to be pretty tough to hit, and Koga also likes using X attacks or inflicting poison. We need to make sure we get past Muk with a good amount of HP. Coughing is no issue, and lastly we have his level 43 Wheezing. We get pretty lucky here as Koga uses X attack twice, and we knock him out without any issues. He could have easily used self-destruct to win. Luckily, Gen 1 AI is not the best. Looking back, I probably should have set up a Swords Dance against Coughing. This would have made Muk a one-hit KO and probably made the battle a little more consistent, but hey, a first try victory and we can move on to Cinnabar Island. We fly to Pallet Town, completely ignore my mom that I haven't seen in forever, and head south to Cinnabar Island. If you want to avoid the trainers here, you can hug the left wall, but once again, I opt for taking some extra battles. Once we get to Cinnabar, we're really getting to that point where there's not many battles left. I don't see us being able to get through the Elite Four until we level up to at least the upper 60s due to the tight matchups we're going to get, specifically Lance. But also, having such a tough matchup as the first Elite Four member in Lorelei really limits our ability to grind for experience. So if it seems like I'm taking a lot of optional battles, it's a calculated move. Once we reach Cinnabar, I have some business to handle at the Pokemart, and of course we have to get through the Pokemon Mansion. Not really a whole lot to go over here, so let's just see how we stack up against Blaine. Blaine is great. He has some of the weirdest AI in Pokemon history in my opinion. He loves using potions at full health. Unfortunately, we don't get to see much of his mastery here. We start the fight with Blaine at level 57. He leads with a level 42 Growlithe. This is an easy dig one-shot. Next is a level 40 Ponyta. Since it can't really do much to us, I decide to use a couple Swords Dance to make sure we outspeed the Rapidash and the Arcanine. He helps us out with a couple Tail Whips and we just use Dig to one-shot the rest. There wasn't much Blaine could really do in this matchup, but let's take a second to appreciate Dig. And now we are off to Sabrina. Sabrina can be pretty scary. Outspeeding Alakazam is critical. We don't want to take a Psychic at all, and because of Alakazam's speed, it also has a pretty high critical hit ratio. But before we get to Sabrina, I accidentally walked into one of the trainers in her gym, and I want to show you this battle. We spent a lot of this run really only showing successful battles, so I really wanted to show how quickly things can go south. Here's my encounter with a channeler who uses only one Haunter. So if you notice, we have a whopping 21 level advantage here. We outspeed it and knock it all the way down to red health. Haunter uses Hypnosis, and of course it hits us. We take a Dream Eater, which heals Haunter back to yellow health, and take a Nightshade, which deals damage equal to Haunter's level. I wake up, and in Gen 1, you don't get to attack the turn you wake up. Haunter confuses me, I hit myself in confusion, and take another Nightshade to bring me down to 3 HP. Hopefully this won't be a sign of things to come with Agatha in the Elite Four. Now, with the actual Sabrina fight, we had much better luck. I'm still pretty over leveled, and we set up 2 Swords Dance against her Kadabra. We do get Body Slam disabled, but luckily we still have Dig. We knock out Kadabra, and Mr. Mime throws up a barrier and also gets one shot. Hindsight, I'd probably set up against Mr. Mime in the future. It loves to use status boosting moves instead of attacking. We do level up, but Venomoth is no problem for Flamethrower, and we still outspeed the Alakazam, and it's a one shot as well. I know this seemed really easy, but there's a reason I saved this fight for as late as possible. This is another battle where we really need to knock the Pokemon out quickly or it can go south in a hurry. Okay, that's badge number 7 for us and another first try victory, so let's go see what Giovanni has in store. I decide to set up against his Rhyhorn. Giovanni loves to use guard specs and in this case uses Horn Drill. Horn Drill can affect a Pokemon that's faster than the user, so we basically just get a free move. And then the infamous guard spec and a Dig knocks it out in one hit. He sends out Dugtrio next and it feints to a single Flamethrower. Nidoqueen and Nidoking are both weak to Dig, and lastly it's Rhydon who is also weak to Dig. Giovanni is very rarely difficult, but what happened to his Kangaskhan? That would definitely have made this battle more exciting. Anyway, we head west to the Elite Four and face Rival 6. We start with his Pidgeot. I decide to set up against it, which was probably the wrong move, but this is our first try, so let's see how it goes. We take a critical hit wing attack, a quick attack, and another critical hit wing attack to take us down to 44 HP, and we level up. Rhyhorn goes down with a single Dig, as does Growlithe. Execute feints to a Flamethrower. Now we really need to outspeed Alakazam, and surprisingly we do. He goes on to one Body Slam, and lastly we have Blastoise. We're only 9 levels ahead now, and somehow we outspeed and one-shot it. To be honest, honest, we are pretty lucky a few of his Pokemon are not evolved here, and I'm glad I took on some optional battles before this. If we were, say, I don't know, 5 or 10 levels lower, this would have been a point where we would have had to train or use rare candies to level up. But a first try victory it is, and I'm going to skip Victory Road as it's pretty uneventful, and we're going to go right to the Elite Four. Before heading in to fight Lorelei, I used most of my rare candies besides 2 to bring us up to level 69. Nice. We want to save a couple rare candies to control our experience and avoid leveling up mid-battle. Make sure you have elixirs or ethers to get your power points back for your moves, and of course some heals. I'm really worried about Lance. All of his Pokemon can do some serious damage and we do not match up well. But before we get there, we have Lorelei, so let's see how we do. Lorelei starts with a Dugong that luckily doesn't actually know any water moves, and she loves to spam Rest. We attempt to set up here and she does lead off with Rest, and I'll take that. We then get a Growl and I get 2 Swords Dance off. I don't really know if that'll be enough, but let's give it a shot. We knock Dugong out with 1 Body Slam and she sends out Cloyster. Cloyster has massive physical defense, but the only water move it knows is Clamp. I decide to get off my last Swords Dance here, and we not so shockingly get Clamp. It only hits for 2 turns, so we lose about 1/3 of our HP. Slowbro goes down to 1 Body Slam. I use Flamethrower on Jinx because we have the type advantage here, and she's also a one-shot. And lastly is Lapras, and we really need to get a one-shot here. Lapras knows Hydro Pump, and we do not want to get hit by one of those. We do get a one-shot here, and I know this looked easy, but if I'm being honest, this fight was one of the main reasons I grinded on extra trainers throughout the run. You don't really have the luxury of training at the Elite Four if you can't beat Lorelei consistently. Next we have Bruno, and he's never really too difficult. We don't have the best type matchups here, but I don't foresee a problem. Bruno leads off with Onix, and I'm going to start building up Swords Dance. The only thing he really has that can hurt me is Rock Throw, but instead we see an X Defend. Genius plays. I continue to set up and we take a critical hit Slam. That ignores our badge boost, but we only take 40 damage. I use my last Swords Dance and Onix hits us for a whopping 4 damage with Rage. Now that we're all set up, let's see if we can one-shot our way out of this. Dig takes down Onix, Hitmonchan gets body slammed as well as Hitmonlee, Onix number 2 takes 1 dig, and we level up. This isn't really too horrible against Bruno. His Machamp knows Leer, Focus Energy, Fissure, and Submission. Only 2 of those are attacking moves, and Fissure can't hurt Pokemon that are a higher level. Surprisingly, none of this matters anyway because we one-shot it with a body slam. After Bruno, we get Agatha, and this one is never fun. Agatha loves to put you to sleep, confuse you, poison you, or paralyze you. She leads off with a level 56 Gengar, and we really can't set up against it. It knows Confuse Ray and Hypnosis. We need to knock this out as quick as possible. I immediately get confused and hit myself in confusion. We knock her down to low HP with Flamethrower and she switches out for Golbat. We hit the Golbat with a body slam and get the paralysis. Golbat misses with Supersonic and we get a critical hit body slam to knock it out. One more Flamethrower takes out Gengar from earlier and now we have Haunter. Haunter is the same moveset as our first Gengar, so this is by no means a freebie either. Case in point, we hit it with a Flamethrower and then Haunter gets a Hypnosis off that actually hits and follows that up by confusing us. As I run through some more failed attempts here, let's talk about Agatha and why she's so brutal. First of all, our Charmander is not going to be able to one-shot any of her Pokemon. Maybe Arbok, but that's only if we can get there. There's really no good Pokemon to set up Swords Dance against, and if you do get them off and get confused, you're just going to hurt yourself more in confusion. You may think Golbat is a good choice, and it might be the best of a bad situation, but Golbat knows Haze. And Haze removes all buffs, including the actual intended badge boost, so it's the same equivalent of losing 12.5% on all of our abilities. We can't use Body Slam against our Ghost Pokemon, so we're left with just Dig and Flamethrower. Technically, Flamethrower is a little bit stronger and has a burn chance, but our Charmander has 130 attack and only 107 special, so I think you'll see me try out both in the attempts that are playing right now. Also, Agatha's Pokemon are poison types, so Dig would be super effective, but it's risky to use when confused since it takes 2 turns. Agatha's Pokemon are real trolls. 4 of her Pokemon can confuse us, 3 can put us to sleep, 2 of them can poison us, Arbok can paralyze us, and Golbat has Haze. Oh, and all of her ghost Pokemon know Nightshade, which ignores all buffs and does damage equal to their level. With our low HP and their decently high level, that's a lot. Our only saving grace here is that sometimes Agatha makes some really poor decisions, but no matter how you slice it, it's gonna take some luck. And at about my 8th attempt, we get some of that luck. I decide to try setting up against the first Gengar for this battle. Gengar leads off with a Confuse Ray. We avoid hitting ourselves in confusion for the second Swords Dance, and Gengar uses Hypnosis, which misses. In Gen 1, the AI trainers have a 25% chance to miss on all status moves. I don't try to press my luck for the third Swords Dance, I just use Dig, and we snap out of confusion. I Body Slam Golbat to make sure we don't get a haze. I misclick and use Flamethrower on Haunter, and luckily that didn't come back to haunt me. An Overkill Dig knocks it out. Arbok is an easy one-shot with Dig, and lastly, her second Gengar. A simple Dig knocks it out, and we are on to Lance. Now, Agatha was a pain. It took some luck, it takes some persistence, but she wasn't the one I've been worrying about this whole run. Lance is the one we should be worrying about. Lance's Gyarados knows Hydro Pump, and Lance also has what they call good AI, meaning he's gonna use Hydro Pump every chance he gets. Let's take a look at my first battle, or my second battle. How about the third battle? Yeah, you get the point. I realized really quickly that we are in a sticky situation here. So here's the strategy, if you want to call it that. We're going to use Body Slam. We need to hit him with 3 Body Slams unless we get a critical hit, and we do have a chance for paralysis. And if that happens, we would also need him to be fully paralyzed or miss. Hydro Pump is only 80% accurate, so unless we get a crit with Body Slam in one of the 2 turns, we really have about a 5% chance of winning. And by winning, I mean just getting past his first Pokemon. So after about 10 tries or so, we got this battle. And I think this might be the most ridiculous Pokemon battle I've ever been a part of. So we get 2 consecutive Hydro Pump misses and Gyarados goes down. He switches to Dragonair, which is really our best option to set up against, so that's what I try to do. Dragonair uses Dragon Rage, and that's 40 damage and it ignores buffs. 40 damage may not seem like much, but that's a hair less than a quarter of our HP. I decide to use Body Slam to see if it would knock it out with only 1 Swords Dance. I get a critical hit, so I don't really know if it would have or not. I use Swords Dance against his second Dragonair, and it uses Agility but still doesn't outspeed me. I go for a Body Slam and it misses. Okay, time out on this battle really quickly. Body Slam is 100% accurate, so for those of you who don't know, there's a bit of a glitch in Gen 1 where every move has a 1 out of 256 chance of missing. I couldn't help but ask myself what the chances are of this battle happening. We have Gyarados missing 2 consecutive Hydro Pumps and a 1 out of 256 glitch. So some quick math says that that's roughly a 0.02% chance of happening, or 1 in 5,000 battles. And let me tell you, this roller coaster ride is far from over. Let's get back to the battle. Dragonair uses Agility after my miss and might outspeed us. We have about half HP now and Aerodactyl and Dragonite left. Against this Aerodactyl, I can't use Dig since it's flying, so I'm gonna hope that my attack is high enough for Body Slam to knock it out, but it only does about 2/3. Another Body Slam knocks it out, and oh no. I forgot to take a rare candy to make sure I don't level up. We only have 44 HP, no badge boosts, and we're only 11 levels higher than a pseudo legendary. We go for Body Slam and it takes it down to red health, but wow, we get the paralysis. He uses Agility. So now it probably outspeeds and Lance uses a Hyper Potion. We use a Body Slam again and get the same result as last time, and he uses Barrier. As long as we don't get another 1 out of 256 glitch again, we win, and luckily that didn't happen. So yes, we won, but if that doesn't stress the importance of using your rare candies correctly, I don't know what does. I thought about redoing the battle with me taking the rare candy beforehand, but really the only difference would have been knocking out Dragonite in 1 hit, and this battle was way too good to leave out. In reality, you may want to be an even higher level for Lance. If you only need 1 miss or paralysis instead of 2 with his Gyarados, it will be a lot less luck based. Alright, last but not least, our rival, and boy am I glad he won't have a Gyarados this run. But unlike our last battle, all of his Pokemon are evolved, and our level advantage is just about gone. I top off my power points and health, and let's see how this goes. Luckily, his Pidgeot no longer knows Sand Attack, so there's not much that can really hurt us too bad, so we can set up against him. He hits us with a Wing Attack that wasn't too bad, and we cast our second Swords Dance. He casts Mirror Move and uses Swords Dance himself. We finish our last Swords Dance and he hits us with a critical Wing Attack, so not really the best of luck there. We finish it off and next is Alakazam, and we should outspeed and one-shot it with Body Slam, and that's exactly what happens. Rhydon is no issue with a single dig. Same can be said for Arcanine. I used Flamethrower on Exeggutor and that was the wrong call. It doesn't knock it out, but luckily he uses a full restore, so I switch to Body Slam and knock it out. I level up here, but it's not an issue as Blastoise will be a one-shot with Body Slam. Probably should have used a rare candy, but honestly I didn't expect to win. I really just wanted to see if we could set up against Pidgeot, but hey, if you get a first try victory without being optimal, no reason to redo it. And that's it, we have beaten Pokemon Red using only a Charmander. I could not be more pleased that this was my very first ever real YouTube content. Getting to do a really fun run with my favorite Pokemon and really break down the strategies and battles has been a blast. I knew that Lance was going to be difficult, but I couldn't have predicted or asked for a better battle than that. You got to see how Gen 1 really is a unique game in this run as well. Lastly, I want to thank you all for watching. This video has been something I've wanted to do for almost a year now, and I finally got the means to get this out, and I couldn't be more excited. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. More content is already on the way, but in the meantime, check out my other videos and hit me up on my socials. Peace!